Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to every nook and cranny receiving our 100,000 watt transmitter, whether it be Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Southwest Louisiana, Northwest Louisiana, and of course through the magic of the internet all over the world. How are all of my peeps doing? It's Friday. It's Friday before the Memorial Day. We are going to have a great time. I hope you have a great Memorial Day planned. You know, folks, we had a great Memorial Day plan. We were having this big Panamanian bash in a park. I forgot the name of the park in Southwest Houston. And got an email that said, all the trees are blown down and this park is closed. So we are on a tizzy trying to find the park so that nosotros los panameños can get to have a great celebration of Memorial Day here in the United States of America. Anyway, before we get busy, you know what we do? We go on to the people who magically make it happen. The studio geniuses. Buenos dias, mis hermanos. Good morning, my brothers.
Oh, well, good morning, Egberto. Let me get the microphone a little closer here. We are preparing the concert ticket list, so Sandy can tell you all about it. Let's see here. We will be preparing that in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, we're here, the Tin Cans and Stringer holding up. And Jack, I think you got some wisdom for us. Looks like you got a whole page there.
Half a page.
Half a page?
Half a
Okay.
page.
All right. Well, go ahead.
This is about the healthcare system. One of the topics that Tommy got kicked out of his dialysis clinic.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, kicking a patient out of a dialysis clinic is shameful. This underlines the need for single-payer healthcare to eliminate these for-profit healthcare abuses. The for-profit motive you have to question is it about the patient or the greenback dollars?
We all know that answer.
Yeah, we do. The present healthcare system has turned predatory on the people. We have a predatory healthcare system that compromises the patient. We need to get the ICs, the insurance companies, and their politicians out from between the doctor and their patients.
Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Okay, so what's up? Is Sandy going to start us off before we get into the meat of the program with letting folks know that so far we are at zero for this morning. We have a great show. And folks, if you're just chiming in, you got to stick around. Let me tell you, this dialysis story that Brother Jack just preempted is an important story with several dimensions, and it could affect you. Do you have high blood pressure? If you had high blood pressure, it's likely that your kidneys functions will be over time declining, where you will need, if not dialysis, care of the kidney. There's a lot to talk about here. So go ahead and start giving now so that we can get into this important subject that can really affect all of us. I'm glad Jack preempted and started with that one because I think that is where we're going to start. But is Sandy ready to come on in, or let's see?
Yes, he is. His
All
tin
right.
cans is hooked up. Come on
We
in.
hope that they're hooked up. Good morning,
They are.
everybody. Sandy Wyman, interim general manager at KPFT, saying that this is the final Friday of our May Fund Drive. If you've waited to donate until this final Friday, you have succeeded. Okay, donate. We stand at $94,884 from 598 distinct donations. The thermometer's crawling up the red here. We'd like to do a little bit better today, maybe see triple digits, not temperature, but money-wise by the end of the day. And you can assist with that. Start by calling 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Hit option 1 and please do your part. We got lots of premiums. We've got one KPFT, and man, we need to hear from you because we're behind on this fund drive. We're going to be eeping into next week as a result because there's no plan B. The money comes from the listeners, and Well, we just need to get closer to the overall goal before the whole thing ends anyway. But this is the final Friday, so come on with it. And happy Friday. Egberto?
Thank you very much, Sandale, Senor Manager. Hey, look, folks. Please, Sandy ain't kidding. I'm looking at the numbers right now, and we are in fact behind. I know. Look, we had a storm that probably messed with some of our giving, but let's, and there are a lot of folks who need help. I mean, if by the way, folks need to throw out on the air some, that hey, come on, commissioners, do your job or whatever. That's what we're here for as well. But we do need to collect these funds so that we can stay on air, so we can give you all these benefits. Don't forget what we're looking for specifically, but not only, are sustaining memberships. And what that means is become a part of the family that gives regularly a very tiny amount. We're asking you to say, you know what? $5 a month, I can buy KPFT a coffee a month. $10 a month, I can buy a couple of coffees for KPFT a month or more. I currently donated $10 a month. We have just about everybody that you hear in this studio right now. In as much as we're volunteers keeping this on air, we're also financial contributors. So we have stake in the game in many ways to do a necessary thing. I don't want to just say a good thing. A good thing sounds just as if it's just altruistic. It's more than altruism. It is something that we know has to be done. And when you care about your fellow man, our fellow person, shows my age, man, your fellow person, you go ahead and make sure that things happen. So I ask kindly to call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1 and tell them what you want to give. Tell them, if it's a $10 donation, a $25 donation, a $50 donation, or maybe you'll become a sustainer. And again, it's something you won't miss. And from someone who has been a participant with KPFT and given KPFT for a long time, and everybody that you've just heard on air this morning already as well, all givers to KPFT, it feels good. It's addictive because you know you're doing something important, not just for your local community, not just for your state community, for the entire damn country. I'm telling you, in going over the conferences all through this country, KPFT is known. What Pacifica Network does is known. We have not only a following, but we have an ethos. People know what we stand for. So give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to give, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button. When you hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and of course, give whatever you can in whatever manner you want to do so. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Well, as I'm perusing, let me tell you some of what I feel. There are a lot of people doing a whole lot of good work, a lot of research going on by independent journalists throughout our country. There are a lot of students writing and doing a lot of research papers, etc. But if you read the New York Times or the Washington Post or any one of the major newspapers, the Houston Chronicle, there are select numbers of articles that you're going to read, that you're going to have to. All those articles go through the producer network within that particular company. New York Times or whatever. And each of those companies have two things that are important. Their first of all, their bottom line, and then their ideology. If you take a look at a paper like the Houston Chronicle, you won't see very liberal stories or stories that would have a liberal bent. If you take a look at the New York Times, I know a lot of conservatives like to consider the New York Times the progressive paper of record. It's far from that. At best, most of us consider most of us progressives consider the New York Times a center-right paper. In other words, it's always towing the line, and to put it bluntly, it tows a very neoliberal style mindset. So therefore, there are a lot of other rags around. I mean, we have the Nations magazine, Mother Jones, we have Daily Kos, you have the independent blogs that I write. You have a lot of people doing a lot of research and good work out there. Why is that important? Because stories that many haven't heard of, many don't understand, many don't see, these get covered. One of the things that I do at this program is many times amplify other stories from rags most people never heard of, don't read, but that are reputable with the information that they have and has a whole lot of backing in said information. And this particular article tickled my fancy yesterday from Mother Jones, and it had a well-researched article. It's a very long article, and the person who wrote the article, it's clear they put a lot of effort into getting their data and getting all this information. Why do I preface it that way? Because one of the reasons we want folks to see these things is that in our healthcare system, whenever we try to make major changes, it is hard. And why is that hard? Because at any given time, most people are relatively healthy. So they are not in contact with the healthcare system on an hourly basis, on a daily basis, etc. So you go through the pain of being with the system for a few hours, if you're lucky, a month or a year, but otherwise, it's just a thing. So you don't get a chance to see those people who have to be chronic users of the healthcare system because of their condition. But the one thing that we know is that at some time, most people at some part of their lives will have some sign of chronic use of the system. And when you get there and it's not there in the right form, it can be devastating. I have a wife with lupus, a wife who just got shingles, a daughter that's had 2 strokes. I stay away from the hospital system, maybe stupidly, but I do because from the healthcare system, because I have some prejudices against how the system treats people like me. Now, that said, this article about dialysis really was difficult to read. And why is that? Because we have a system that, for the most vulnerable people, it can be very unfair and it can be very inhumane. And the story that Jack started about was Tommy's story. And Tommy was somebody that went in, goes to dialysis treatments every 3 times a week. But the one thing he was is somebody who wanted to make sure that the people who are giving him this dialysis were doing a good job. And because he complained, he was referred to or called belligerent. And under the law, they were able to deny him care. So ultimately, what happened to Tommy in this system is that Tommy had to wait till he's near death each time from not having dialysis for days, go to the emergency room to get cleaned out, and the cycle begins again. But none of the dialysis companies, and there are 2 major dialysis companies, Davida and a German company of which I can't recall the name right now. They own 80% of the market. It's been corporatized, the entire dialysis system. Backstory. In the past, when dialysis just came out, there were few dialysis machines in the 60s, but there was a committee called the God Committee. And the God Committee selected the people around the United States who would be lucky enough to use the limited resources of dialysis machines. As time went on, supply caught up with demand, but it was still an expensive proposition, about $150,000 a year to be on dialysis. And by the way, all of this occurs because of patents and the commercialization of machines, all of that. And the dialysis doesn't really cost $150,000, a year for a patient. But that's what it's charged. That's what a capitalist system does to healthcare. But we'll tackle that a little bit further down. So the God Committee selected who got dialysis back in the 60s when it was invented. And after the 60s, when it was invented, we got the United States government in 1972 said, well, you know what? We are going to make kidneys a special case, and Medicare covers kidney dialysis. And then all these private companies sprung up to give dialysis machines. Your nephrologist had a dialysis machine, little companies had dialysis machines, and they were all able to, make a little profit on giving dialysis. The government was paying for it. Socialized medicine with the assistance of the private sector delivering the care, which meant somebody who owns that dialysis company or that little doctor's shop made a few dollars. Not extraordinarily so. Look, I wouldn't have had that layer at all, but hey, we had that, and that worked for a while. But then the government opened it up that said private investment companies and all of that could buy up and be a part of the game. And when they became a part of the game, they started buying up all these little dialysis shop around the country, your private doctor's dialysis center, your small company dialysis center, and they bought it all up, and now they own 80% of the market, two companies. What that means, of course, is that we have a great welfare system for these companies. They provide a service at officially no risk. If you have a sure payer in the government, right? What does that mean? That means you don't have any risk. But the idea behind big profits, if you follow the capitalist model, is that the reason you allow companies to have big profits is because it purportedly creates innovation with those profits. But again, if you don't have the risk, there are two things that happen when you don't have this risk. There's no real need for further innovation. Things are currently working fine. So what do you do next? The next thing you do is you say, all right, since we believe since this system says we want exponential growth. What exponential growth look like is the people who invest in these dialysis companies now, they may expect a 7% return every year. In other words, they want 7% growth, not return, growth. They want 7% growth every year. That's exponential growth. It's something that is not sustainable. So how do they do it? When you had these big companies buy up all these dialysis centers, now two companies own it. Again, the default state of capitalism is monopoly. They would try to tell you no. Government intervention stops monopoly when it prevents monopoly. So the default state of capitalism is to create monopolies. But how do you stop the monopolies? You create government intervention that mitigates capitalism to stop that behavior. That's not what has happened in dialysis. These companies control 80% of the market, and in doing so, the next growth state that they have is how, now that we own the entire damn market, how can we even make more money? And the way they do it is they say, okay, we used to have professional nurses like they have in Canada or Australia or these other countries. We used to have professional nurses that did the work. Well, professional nurses cost too much damn money. So now they have specialized technicians that's trained to do just that job. And for the most part, that works, right? Of course, until some patient has behaviors, etc., that only a professional healthcare provider can understand, it's away from what they have to do in dialysis. So that's what they do to reduce their costs and to have more people, or rather, and to have more profits for the investors in these new companies that now control your dialysis. And when that doesn't work, they start using cheaper material. So what a lot of patients were noticing is they were using cheaper bandages that cause rashes on people, that hurt people, etc. And according to the law, a dialysis center can bar somebody from taking dialysis if they become a problem patient. The CMS, Center for Health, I don't remember what it stands for, allows them to go ahead and deny service to these people. And they ask them, if you're going to deny service to this patient, try to find them another place. But if you can't find them another place, well, no big deal. The patient just have to see what the patient can do. Wait till they get sick enough to go to the dialysis, to the emergency room, which is what happened to Mr. Tommy. So these patients are starting to complain that their bandages don't work right. The nurses don't know what they're doing. They're not really nurses anymore. So the service declines and they start to push people through like cattle. If you go to a Davida Center, according to the article, and I see them all around Houston, and I imagine you see them all over the country. You go to one of these places, you're like a cattle, just giving people through. They have to get you into the machine, sanitize the machine, go back into circulation and do it. And a lot of it wasn't doing right. And if you go ahead and complain about your bandage, if you complain about your service, they start to put inside of your record that you are a problem client, a problem patient. And that record follows you. And so what they're doing is they're building the case that this person is going to complain about our service. Let's build a case so that when we cut the plug, we can have a case that says this person has been a problem client for a long time, a problem patient for a long time. That is what our system devolves to, a healthcare system that is based on profit and not humanity. I'm going to talk about the profit in a little bit. So what we find is in a country right now, over 5,000 people at this time, right now, have been told that they cannot use these services anymore. And these are people that ultimately wait till they get very sick, go to an emergency room, their blood gets taken. Oh my God, you're in renal failure. We got to give you dialysis right now. And then you wait till you get sick again and you get dialysis again and again in the emergency room at a higher cost that we all pay. All of this because these companies that control the system want exponential growth, not only exponential growth, but they want the ability to go ahead, do as they please to make for their shareholder. I'm going to continue with the subject. Beforehand, I want to welcome Michael Andrews. Thank you so kindly for being here on the chat. Shakula Hairstylist, thank you so kindly for being here in the chat. And Eric Hayes. I want to thank a new listener, or not a new listener. She says, I've been listening since 26. Love you, girl. Thank you so kindly. Betty, can I use that name? Yes, Betty Lyons became a new sustainer. Thank you so kindly, Betty. Now, if we could get 10 more Bettys right now, we will be set for the day. So can you give us a call at 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1 to contribute to the program. Hit extension number 2 to speak, or you can go to kpft.org. Let's say you want to keep listening. You don't want to hang up the phone. You don't want to be on the phone. go to kpft.org, hit the donate button. After you hit the donate button, go ahead and the drop down box, select politics done right, and then give us whatever you can. Again, we make sure to keep you informed, not just with what you're going to find in the New York Times or any of these other rags, but information that you need to know, many times information that is being kept from you. Let's go ahead and give a couple of minutes to our brother in crime. Harry is on line number one. Buenos dias, mi hermano. Harry, how are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm doing good. Buenos dias. Your hermano to you, Roberto, and good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Jack, and good morning, Howard. Well, I wanted to get your opinion on this because it had to do with that when you were talking about the farm bill and when caller Jeff was talking about how some people take advantage of food stamps. Well, I was thinking about a lot of the attitude with Arnie Arneson. She's talked about these kinds of things. She actually mentioned it, I think, again this week when Bill Clinton was president and he passed the welfare reform bill for welfare queens. That really pissed Arnie Arneson off. And Arnie Arneson always tells this story when she has guests on, which talks about this thing. She said there was up in her state in New Hampshire, a city called Lisbon, where paper mills were closing. There were a lot of people who were working 50, 60 hours a week, and they were telling Arnie when Arnie ran for president in 1996 because she wanted Bill Clinton out of there because she felt strongly about women who were getting welfare. They were getting Section 8 housing, and they were getting food stamps and general assistance, all those kind, TANF, all those kinds of programs. And she felt that Clinton was making cuts. She didn't like the cuts that Clinton made, but those people were saying to Arnie, they said, Arnie, we hate you. We hate you. Why? And she said, well, why do you hate me? Because we work 50, 60 hours. And we don't get those welfare programs. And then Arnie told them and said, gee, I'm sorry that you don't get those welfare programs. And then you want to take it away from the people who need that general assistance. And she said, well, I got a question for you. How is taking it away from them going to get it for you? So there's not something wrong with the welfare programs. There's something wrong with your employers, something wrong with work when they don't want to pay you those kind of benefits. And I wanted to know what your opinion was on that, on how Arnie feels about that, and she still feels about that to this day. I was wondering what your opinion is on that, Roberto.
Thank you for that, Harry. Let me just say this first of all. What you just that contrast that you just make is so important, and it goes like this. What the plutocracy has learned to do, it's to pit the poor against the poorest. That's a magic. The magic is to make somebody feel somebody that's already aggrieved feel better by looking at somebody who is getting, but maybe in a worse situation. Um, it's not their fault. That's what's been programmed into people. You have somebody that's working hard and barely make it, and then they go to the store and see somebody flash their card. And I think the guy's name was Jeff who called in, and you see that person using a food stamp
right.
card. Yeah, a food stamp card.
Right.
The natural human reaction is, I had to work so hard, and this person here just goes ahead and use that card without even knowing that this other person may be working just as hard and making a hell of a lot less for the work that they're doing. As an example, the Walmart employee, if you have a Walmart employee that is working 40 hours a week and you have another person working 40 hours a week making more than that Walmart employee, they may not have hit the tipping point that gives them food stamps, but you have, because Walmart pays slave wages, because Burger King pays slave wages. And again, what this plutocracy does is put that person that's barely making it against the person that's not making it at all. And that
Yeah.
is what we have to change in our society. We have to look at where the problem really is. The problem is, look, there are people who abuse food stamps. Let's be very clear. There are people who abuse food stamps. There are people who abuse free housing. All of those are statements of fact. But most people on food stamps, most people in public housing are there because they've either had a bad break, because they're underpaid, because of the economic system that we have. And when we start blaming the poor for what the wealthy has created in underpaying, in taking advantage of, let's look at the pandemic as an example. And I'm going to get on to Sandy in a minute for some pitching, but we got to do some pitching. We got to raise some money. But here's the thing. This is a very important concept. When we got all those stimuli from the government, it did a magical thing. It took a lot of people out of poverty temporarily, right? They finally had extra dollars that they could do one of several things. Some people got a chance to save some of that money. Some people got a chance to get health care they hadn't gotten before. Some people they got to do all these magical things that they couldn't before. But what they had was more monies in their pockets. What did our society do? Our society said something magical. They said, we are going to create inflation, not because we had a shortage of gasoline, not because we had a shortage of food, not because we had a shortage of anything. We created inflation because, and I call it the carpet greed rate. We created that because the companies knew that people had more monies in their pocket and that if they raised their prices, the people would still buy it. Remember, the capitalist structure says whatever the market will bear. And when you don't have pricing power, whatever the market will bear is however free cash you have in your pocket, plus your savings, plus your credit. And that's what the plutocracy takes from you. So, in short, and anybody wants me to amplify this at a later time, I will. In short, the first thing I tell you, if you are a welfare recipient because of the wages you get, because you're unable to work, and all these other issues, we create society to give everybody a stake and a stake in the society. We create a society to make everyone's life better. Keep your head up high. I got to go to Johnny Harry. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thanks for all that input. Have a good
Thank,
day.
thank you, brother Johnny. And then I got to get to Sandy. Come on, Johnny.
Yeah. You know what upsets me? I don't care about when people of color, like a single mother, working her way through nursing school while taking care of a kid. That's not a problem for me. That's the salt of the earth. That's what makes America work. What doesn't make America work is people like Marjorie Trader Taylor and that Sarah Palin wannabe out of Colorado, Lauren Boebert, and all their fellow Republican legislators who take that so-called PPP, so-called loan money, which they never pay back. As far as I'm concerned, that's welfare. That's welfare money, and they're welfare recipients. And what about all the welfare money we send to Israel year after year, decade after decade? They provide their people universal health care. And what do we get? Nothing.
Okay, let me tell you, Johnny. I couldn't repeat that any better. I mean, you're absolutely right. Again, it's how we are programmed as a society and what the plutocracy and how they treat us to think. And one of the things we try to do here is we don't try to tell you to think a certain way. We try to tell you, please think. And the funny thing about it is, whenever you open your mind to think, we kind of land in the same place. That's all. Whenever you open your mind to think, both on an economic system, etc. And
Open up
there are
Romney's bank accounts.
right.
I'd like to open Mitt Romney's bank accounts with some forensic accountants and have Mitt Romney explain where he gets all his money. Mitt Romney, that vulture capitalist, Bain Capital. What about
Right.
his welfare schemes?
Right.
No.
Thank you, Johnny. Brother Johnny, thank you much. We got to go raise some cash. I think we only have one donation so far from the wonderful Betty Lance, who really started us with a new sustainer. We need to get a whole lot more of those. So, Johnny, thank you for calling. Mayor of Politics Done Right. Thank you, brother. You have a good one. All right, let's go to El Señor Sandy, the general manager of KPFT.
That would be interim, and that would be my alarm going off to wake me up an hour late. Such is life. And you know what? I think I just did wake up an hour late. But I want to thank Betty for getting us going this morning with a sustaining pledge. That's very generous. Thank you. To those of us, in the studio, we're always hoping that the phone will ring and we'll get to thank a lot of people. Here on the final Friday of this fund drive, that need to do so is exacerbated. The storm, the hot weather, I don't know. We have a million excuses and we wonder why. But bottom line is the bottom line at KPFT. We're listener supported and we really need some assistance paying those bills for the coming months. They're coming. They're going to be there in the mail. Sure as you're born, they will be there. And when they come, we want to pay all our vendors what is owed. It's fair. And that means for us to be fair, our audience has to be fair with us. So do your part. You call 713-526-5738, and then you hit option 1 and talk to somebody. It's quick. It's easy. Betty, thank you. Betty made a sustaining pledge. She said, here's $5 a month. Just keep taking the $5 until I say no more. The very definition of sustaining KPFT. We've had a number of people step up and do that and take advantage of a $58 match. Oh, Betty, you didn't donate $60. With the match, you donated $118. So thank you for that. That's available to anybody that's calling right now and saying, I want to be a sustainer, $5 or $10 a month, whatever it is, you can help us out with your call and making that generous step. I want to just talk about something I really haven't talked about all these mornings, and that's concert tickets. We still have a few left, including pairs of passes to Squeeze and Boy George at the 713 Music Hall on August 29th. That is a $180 pledge. For those of you that haven't been to the 713 downtown, a relatively new venue for us, it's wonderful. They've got a tremendous food court. They got parking right nearby. It's right off 45 in downtown. It is the old Houston post office, hence the 713 title. Our area code, clever, eh? At the Continental Club, you can find the Cactus Blossoms or Los Canarlis playing. They're playing on, June 6th and June 22nd, respectively. And those tickets are $90. We have other tickets available too. A lot of them have been taken, but there's still opportunities for you. If you want dinner and a show, you can see Tab Benoit at the Do-Si-Do Big Barn. We have 2 pair left, May 30th, coming right up. And the Bone Deans, June 30th. That's dinner and a show for 2. And that's going to be a $280 pledge for Tab Benoit and $200 for the Bodines. A wonderful way to say thank you to KPFT and a wonderful experience that you will have eating that big chicken fried steak if you order that, or the fish dish or whatever they got that night. And Mr. V used to have a good tip on chicken fried steak. Cut it in half, put the gravy on the side, and take it home dry. So the next day, it's not all soggy. Mr. V was a real smart guy, especially when it came to food. Loved talking to him about food. We have at the Do-Si-Do Big Barn with no dinner, Bob Schneider, Max and Heather Stalling, Hamilton Loomis, and 2 Tons of Steel. We have other tickets as well, including a pair of passes, unlimited passes, to the Kerrville Folk Festival, which began yesterday and runs through mid-June. It's a big pledge, $1,000, but you get 2 pair of unlimited passes, which if you try to buy from the festival itself, you would be paying most of that pledge that you would be making to KPFT. All tickets are available on a sustaining basis. So if tickets are $180, sign up at $15 a month. Go see the show, and thank you for your sustaining membership. And oh, by the way, that too will be matched. But please do your part. The final Friday of Fund Drive, Betty stands alone in supporting this program at 40 minutes past. We'd like to see a few more of you. I know we've been asking, and we're going to keep asking because This is how we pay the bills. The bare facts are just that. We cannot continue without listener participation. Do your part. Please do your part. So many people have come and gone over 54 plus years that make it possible for you to hear our voices today. That means that all those folks over all that time did their part. If you've never pledged before, you listen to this station, it's your turn. Call 713-526-5738, hit option 1, and do your part. It says that Betty's a new member on our software. I hope that's right. Our software gets it right most of the time. And she said that she's been listening since 2016. Sometimes it takes that long. Betty, thank you. Thank you for realizing we can't do it without you. Your turn next, 713-526-5738. And yeah, you know, just as necessary as it is when you have impacted kidneys to have dialysis, and our society should be taking care of you. It's just as necessary for KPFT to be funded by its listeners. So be kind. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Folks, please call 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to contribute, extension number 2 if you want to say something on air. But as Sandy said, we need to raise this. We are behind. We don't exactly know why this particular fund drive we're slightly behind, actually quite a bit behind than the previous one. But we need you to call right now, 713-526-5738, or go to kpft.org. When you get to kpft.org, hit the donate button, drag down menu, select politics done right, and then give that donation, because and by the way, we are very frugal with your money. As Sandeep said many times, we have one paid full-time employee, everything else is volunteer. And the greatest thing about this station is just about every one of those volunteers are also sustainers at this station. That's how much we love the station. Let's go ahead and I have to finish the story on dialysis, but you come first. So let's go to Bard and then Brian. Come on in, Bard. How are you doing this morning, my brother?
Good, sir. Good morning, sir. Yes, a job at Walmart or McDonald's is not meant to be a career. It's meant to be a place where you build up your skill sets and you move on. So if you stay there, you don't deserve welfare. And another person that doesn't deserve welfare is illegal aliens don't deserve welfare. A welfare queen going through with 2 shopping carts full of meat does not deserve welfare. A guy that sits around all day and listens to the radio and calls in 2 or 3 times an hour, he does not deserve welfare. You got to get out there and go to work. And the people so what needs to be corrected is welfare. The people that need to correct this and aren't going to are Democrats. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, they're not going to correct this because they're part of the system, So it's time to correct this stuff. And these people that we have in office, John Cornyn, they're not going to do it. Dan Crenshaw, worthless. That's the problem.
Okay, let's analyze that a bit. Let's analyze that a bit. You're saying that Walmart is not a job that one would consider something that should make you a living. But at the same time, you're saying if you can work, you need to get out there and work, right? So let's put that to the test. Is being a secretary a job that would you say is something that one would strive for?
If you're looking to build your skills and move up.
No. My question it's a yes or no question. Bard. I'm asking some yes or no questions because listen, your argument is an argument that the plutocracy pushes for a particular reason. They want to underpay people, so they devalue the work that those people do as being just a transition job. Okay? Who determines what makes a transition job? Absent a professional type job that requires a lot of skills, let's say an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer that requires a whole lot of knowledge. The knowledge base for many professions that we have today are no different than what it takes a cashier or a stocker on the shelves of Walmart. So if you devalue Walmart as a job that is just a transition job, many jobs that requires the same skill set that makes a lot of money gives Walmart a pass. Logically, what you're saying is you're saying that, well, I Walmart has decided to call its job one that is transition to justify low pay, while somebody else that gets 60, 70, $80,000 a day, I mean a year for, let's say, answering the phones, which I think is an important thing for major corporations or whatever, get a lot of money. How we have been indoctrinated, Bard, is for us to allow corporations to deem a particular skill set or job set transition, and in doing so, pay that person less. And by the way, and that company then profits from being able to pay less, and in the process of paying less, enhance the wealth of its shareholders and the bonuses it gets its people. The next item that you brought in is Ocasio Cortez and all these guys. That's all of that is immaterial. The society that these folks are trying to build is not a society of worthless people not working. It's a society that pays fairly. That's what we're asking for, a society that makes a job something you can live on, and having a hard heart by thinking uh, people by the false belief that they're just people wanting to abuse the phone. I know you're probably talking about one of our callers when you make the claim and you say, well, if you sitting sitting down, being able to call into a radio station, is that person a caretaker? That is taking care of somebody, and that is a one way to pass the time. Is that person somebody with a chronic illness? You see, we've taken the humanity out of these arguments, and your statement, my dear brother, is an inhumane statement that assumes you know so much about the lifestyle of these others, because the plutocracy has indoctrinated into your mind what these people either do, look like, sound like, or perform. I tell you something. Don't you ever want some of what has happened to some of these people that are on assistance to happen to you, because it could be you. I've met many people who had your stance until something happened to them. I've always believed in universal healthcare. I've always believed in these things before I ever needed it. And I tell you what, I never thought that I would be taking care of a daughter at 30 something years old with two strokes. It's something that should happen to nobody. I never thought that I would have had a wife that has had lupus and now got a real bad case of something that happened. You don't know these things that can happen. The inhumanity of what's taught on the right and it's not you, Bard, that I'm issuing this edict to, not you, because you are just a victim of what the right has done to the mentality of many. I got to go to Brian. Thank you, my dear brother. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, good morning. How's the fund drive going?
Not very well right now, but with having a brother like you, making sure to ask people to give, that has been very helpful.
Well, I'm here to help. I do what I can. Everybody else should also. If you don't pitch in, throw in some money, everybody's going to end up like North Korea, where the Tiananmen Square
You're right.
Taking place. Yeah. Tiananmen Square massacre started taking place back in '89, right about this time of the year, and roughly 3,500 students were murdered. My wife can verify that. The killing went on for 3 days. It wasn't the first day. It was 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing, I think the Republicans got it changed, but it was 87,000 IRS agents to go over people's taxes. I think they did something and changed that up. I think they got that canceled, which I firmly agree with that. Take this into perspective. There's 77,000 seats in the Houston Astrodome.
Uh-huh.
So that's how many IRS agents that they were going to go after. You and me and everybody else. That Janet Yellen wanted anything over $600 to be looked at. So
Okay,
that's
Brian.
4 times people in the in Lamar, Texas.
Brian, I want you to
So
do me a favor because I'm going to jump to Joey and Lisa right now, but I want you to do me a favor, Brian. I want you to, you see, when you're talking about IRS agents, could you call in? Today's the last day of the last Friday of Fund Drive. Call in Monday. Let's talk about the IRS agent because I want to pass something by you, and I think you're going to agree. But let's talk about that Monday. All right?
okay, if anybody's ever had an IRS problem, that's the worst thing that you'll ever want to do, and you
Well,
don't need an IRS agent.
I've been audited
I hate.
twice, sir. I've been audited twice, just to let you
Yeah,
know. Thank you. Thank you, brother.
yeah, yeah.
Peace.
Have a good
Let's go
weekend.
to, thank you, sir. Joey, come on in. Joey, you're on. Okay, let's put Joey back on hold and go to Lisa then, and till Joey can get off of mute or whatever. Come on in, Lisa. Okay. Lisa, you're on.
You.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you doing this morning?
I'm wonderful. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Lisa.
Okay, great. To the gentleman who was saying, it's a transition. Well, let me tell you how the real life works. So years ago, a single mom got a job in an office, was not being paid a lot of money. I was doing the exact same thing my male counterparts were doing, and they were making a lot more money, so much more money. The amount of money that I was making as a single mom made me qualified for food stamps, and my children qualified for a free lunch program, which that means is that the government was taking care of me because my boss wouldn't give me a living wage. My boss was being subsidized by the government because he wouldn't pay me a living wage. So I kind of have a problem with what he said because there's, I understand, why does a 20-year-old need $20 an hour? Well, for the same reason that a 40-year-old needs $20 an hour. It's called a living wage.
Lisa, I could not agree with you more, and I hope I explained that well. I hope that I explained that well to Brother Bard, because again, let me just
Yeah.
say there is an industry out there. The way they classify things to rip you off is what happens in this country, right? Let's give a first of all, you're correct. We are subsidizing Walmart because they pay low wages, and we make their employees whole. As somebody who does the register at Walmart has no more skills or doesn't necessarily need more skills than somebody who is selling an insurance policy for that makes $6,000 for every insurance policy they sell. I mean, what society has done to corrupt our mind is magical. Let me give you another thing real quickly. You go out to work every day, Lisa, and your pay scale, rather, and you pay up to 38% of your salary in taxes. But as somebody who's sitting on their
Yeah.
butt investing their money, and when they get something called a capital gain, they pay a maximum of either 15 or 20% on that money. But why? And when you ask the conservative or whatever, why is it that the worker has to pay up to 38% of their salary in taxes, and the wealthy person sitting their butt at the pool who's invested their money only pay 20%? The answer that they've learned to give you is, well, he's putting his money at risk. To which I always say, and that worker is putting their life at risk. Which is more important? When
Exactly.
somebody's building a bridge and can fall off the bridge, they're putting their health at risk. When somebody's in an office breathing in certain chemicals from that company, they're putting themselves at risk. I mean, we have learned to so devalue the average American citizen and enhance the 1% for not being able to do much. It's amazing. And trying to deprogram ourselves is what we have to do. Thank you very much for your call, Lisa.
Oh, you're welcome. You have a great day.
You too now. Folks, please give us a call 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We are so in need of your contributions right now. We are so in need of your of those sustaining membership, $5 a month. We've already had one, just one, but very appreciated from Betty Lyons this morning. Only one contribution so far. I know we can do better. I know you see the value in what we do here. I know you understand that the goal of this program is to ask us to think, to not just buy the company line, not just buy, when Bard called in, Bard is there's nothing wrong with Bard. Bard's a nice guy. But Bard has allowed the plutocracy to put that carnality within himself that says, well, if I can go out there and work, you should be working too, as if somehow there aren't externalities. What we try to do here is bring the humanity back in society, because that's who we really are. It is the corrupting force of the wealthy plutocrats that create these think tanks that put stories into people's head that really ain't so. That really ain't so. So, folks, please support the program. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Hit that donate button. After you hit that donate button, from the scroll down box, select Politics Done Right, and then go to give your donation. But we need that right now, my brothers and sisters. Sandy, are you standing by that we can actually go ahead and get some more information? Thank you, my dear brother.
I am standing by. I'm actually just sitting here sipping some coffee, second cup. So yeah, between the alarm and the second cup, time to wake up. Folks, it's 3 minutes to 7 in the morning. We've had one person pledge KPFT. We're appreciative for that. But frankly, at this point, there should be about 4 or 5 more folks calling in. We've spoken to you for many mornings for a couple of weeks now, 2 weeks and a day, in fact. And we're going to continue speaking to everyone out there to urge them to donate to KPFT. 713-526-5738. During this fund drive, we have a new 32-ounce stainless steel tumbler. It's an insulated mug, much like a Yeti-like mug. I think someone told me, with a KPFT logo on it. Keep your coffee hot in the morning, your cold drinks cold in the afternoon. That's a $120 donation as a thank you to KPFT. This independent programming is brought to you by volunteers. I'm a volunteer too. It's a labor of love that we put in down at KPFT to keep this station going. It's getting more and more difficult without your call to do so. 599 people have called in. We are $56 away from the $95,000 plateau. $56 donation will get us there. Perhaps one of you has that $5 a month sustaining gift, $60, that'll put us over that notch on our way up to 150,000, we hope, by the end of the drive. But it begins with you. It starts with you. It begins with your generosity. 713-526-5738. Don't let the opportunity pass you by to make a donation to KPFT. It's a wonderful thing for all those that listen, a wonderful thing for all those that will listen. We need to pass this forward. The news keeps getting a little bit stranger every day. Some of the decisions coming out of our Supreme Pizza court, are just absurd. They're absurd on the face of them, etc. And trying to dress them up with a harumph or two and judicial robes doesn't cut it. We need to have these discussions. And for those of you that think that there's all this fraud and people taking money from the government, ha, 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 think again. There's some of it going on. Government study after government study, and I'm talking about the accountants that get after this stuff, not the politicians, the bureaucrats. Every report that they issue pretty much says the same thing. There's not a lot of fraud. This money that goes to those in need and that deserve it, well, it's just that. We have an obligation as a society to support so that there's a bottom layer that is as well off as it can be to try to struggle to make a better life. That minimum support. KPFT also needs a minimum amount of support. So please take action. It's 7 a.m. and you're listening to KPFT Houston. Back to you, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. Folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to donate, KPFT, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics and Right, and then go ahead and give whatever you can. I'm really hoping to get some more sustainers this morning. I was so happy to see when I saw Betty and I saw New, and then I said, and that she's been a long time listener. And let me tell you what opened my heart, dear. Think about this. It's I know it's hard to go ahead and make that turnaround and then go ahead and stop what you're doing to go ahead and contribute. But once you do it, it's sort of automatic, right? Because when we are looking at all the donors on our list here, most of it says existing, existing, existing. It's like when you start being having a stake in something and knowing that you own it, it's not at all difficult. The most difficult part is making the first move. The first move is what it takes. The first move to say, I am going to make this my station. I'm going to make this the station that I am supporting. And once you do that, the feeling of ownership, the feeling of agency, knowing that we are all making this happen. When you go ahead and tell folks you need to be listening to KPFT, that's one of the stations that I own. That is a great feeling. So, folks, give us a call at 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1 or go to politics and what am I saying? Or go to kpft.org and hit that donate button. Very, very, very important. Let's go to tag, and then I'm going to finish up the story if I get a chance to do so. Otherwise, I'll tell you how to finish it up. Come on in, tag. How are you doing this morning? Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, Alberto. Just had to shout out to Bard. And
please do.
Little message send his way. He's so concerned about these people that are getting welfare from the government, and we're all concerned about that. But the thing he refuses to acknowledge or understand is how much corporations get from the government as corporate welfare, and it just dwarfs what any individual would get, any woman with children or whatever. It's just the money the corporations are getting are just terrible. And if he can actually come out and say, yes, we think that Exxon needs welfare from the government, or Amazon needs welfare from the government, then he's taking a look at the bigger picture.
Tag, you nailed it. There are so many. Again, you know who controls the media, because when you see how a lot of people are programmed to go after one another and forget how much money. Let's give an example. We have the war in Israel and Gaza right now, and every 2,000 pound bomb costs, I don't know, don't quote me on the numbers, but costs about $500, let's say, and we are paying $8,000 for each one of them. Okay, think about it. Think about it. That you know that's what our economic system does, right? The government will pay whatever it costs. $500 to build a bomb, if that much. Okay, but you're gonna pay the government $8,000 for every bomb. That is a kind of welfare we're talking about here. How do you justify that? They talk about the capital gains. One of the biggest welfare ways that you can have. You talk about companies that get monies for X, Y, and Z, and nothing like what the petty thief gets when he robs a store. Nothing like what the person who gets food stamps get. It's ridiculous that we have allowed ourselves to hate those in the same boat that we are in, as we allowed others to pilfer us all. So, Tag, you nailed it. Thank you very much, Tag. Anything else, real quick?
That's about it. The only other thing is that when people say we're sending all this money to Ukraine or Israel for military arms, it's like, we're giving that money to our military to send our arms that we already have built, and so then our military buys new ammunition, and so
Tag,
it's
Tag.
it's a
Tag,
bad thing.
it's circular. Tag, let me tell you how profitable war is, right? It's circular, right? Let's do that real quickly. We build the bombs, we overpay for the bombs. It's not Israel getting the money specifically. They get the bombs to kill people. Ukraine gets the bombs to kill people. That's what we get there. And then after the people get killed, what do we do again? Tell me, what do we do again? After they get killed, we go ahead and the companies that go ahead and heal and rebuild buys this material again from us, right? So we get money for blowing crap up. We get money from having to build it back up. We get money for having, I mean, it's a racket. And then folks compare about the welfare mom or the person working at Walmart getting welfare. We don't see the big picture, and that's why we have a program like this, Tag, and that's why your words of wisdoms have air here as well, sir. All right.
It's certainly not the people. It's certainly not the people that work at Walmart that has
Right.
that's a problem here either. It's Walmart because they're taking advantage of the system.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tag. I got to go do a little pitching, but
Good day.
I got to go do it. Thank you, brother. All right. Thank you so kindly. Let's see. Can I call the name? Yes. Scott and Debbie. Thank you so kindly, Scott and Debbie Smith, for being a part of the team here at KPFT. Love you. Love you. All of you. Anyway, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Please, folks, we need to get more membership. We need to get more sustainers. We need to get more donors. 713-526-5738. Let's go real quickly to Greg before I ask Sandy to do a little pitch again. Craig, come on in.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, sir.
Okay. I used to use corporate welfare all the time, and then someone corrected me, and it said it's not welfare. Welfare is for those in need. This is money going to the rich. What's really happening here is class warfare. This is the way the rich steal the money from the rest of us, or take the money from the rest of us. They do it through privatization. Earlier this week or last week, we were talking about charter schools. It's class warfare. They're taking money from the public. And if you look at the charter schools, they take the same amount of money per student as a public school, and they give they give nothing back to the community. How many of us listening here, how many of us have run on a public school track, played football or baseball on a public school field, Little League and stuff like that? They have practices out there. The public schools offer so much to the community besides all the extracurricular activities and such like that. These charter schools, they just take, and all that money goes up to the rich or to the owners and stuff like that. even the ones that are considered are called like nonprofit charter schools, like I think Harmony says they are. The owners still make huge profits and stuff. It's corporate welfare, private prisons, private detention centers for immigrants, which we should call private prisons anyways, because they're not really detention centers, they are prisons. And so it's the easiest way for wealthy people to make money is through contracts. You're talking about a bomb costs like $500. Well, I doubt a 2,000 bomb costs less than 50,000. I'm sure the government pays about 50,000 per bomb, if not more. When I was in the military a long time ago, one of my colleagues said, "Hey, don't break that hammer. That's $100 hammer." I go, "No, it's not. I can get this at Walmart for this is back a few years ago, back in '87. I can get this at Walmart for $2." And he's like, "Yeah, but that's not what the government pays for it." And I was like, "No way." I didn't want to believe that because
It's true.
I didn't want to believe my government, but it does. It does.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, my brother. Hey, Greg, I got to go do some. Greg, I got to go do some pitching. So I appreciate your call. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely.
I think I'll pitch for you. Can I pitch for you? I was a poor part-time professor at Alvin Community College, and I was driving to in the morning, early in the morning. I had a 7 o'clock class or 8 o'clock class. I was listening to Democracy Now, and I pitched up, and they're offering this DVD. They're not DVD. They didn't DVDs, not that VHS tape about a woman, a politician in New Zealand, and it was $150. My ex-wife and I, we had no money. We were both just graduated part-time professors and stuff like that, and that's when I first started supporting KPFT. It was $150 back in 1997, and I've been a member since. And right now, I'm a sustainer. I get monthly. So
thank you so kindly.
I don't get a whole lot, but about $15 a month to KPFT, $15 a month to Democracy Now. All right. Yeah,
thank you so kindly, my brother. Thank you so kindly, my friend. I appreciate you, Greg. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Okay, folks, give us a call. 713-526-5738. Become a sustainer like Greg became a sustainer. He said he's a sustainer in the name of DN. Be a sustainer in the name of politics done right. Call 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Let's go to Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. And thank you to Debbie and Scott. Debbie and Scott, for those of you who may have heard the name before, we talk about them. They come down and they work on the building. And I'm talking about work in the heat and humidity, making sure that our weeds stay chopped down to a level below an elephant's eye. They come down and they do work around the building, just taking care of things time after time. I want to thank them for being the second person to contribute this morning, being the 600th donation in this fund drive, and for getting us over the $95,000 barrier. Folks, we're waiting on you. Why do you listen to KPFT? Why are you listening now? I'm talking to those of you that haven't given this drive, or maybe in a year or more, or are not yet sustainers. I'm talking to you. Why do you listen? If you think that it's free and I can just turn it on and it's okay and get this nourishment anytime I need, you are correct. But it's not free. And all of us as a community have to get together to support it. It's like we're going on a real long ride, trip around the world, and we're driving our car and we're consuming gasoline while we go. Yeah, evil gasoline. And we're getting about 24 miles a gallon because we got 6 of us in the car, and we have to stop and fill up. And every time we do, well, someone says, "I got it. Here's my card. Tank on up." We're asking you to throw in a little bit of money for this ride that we're all on together. Do your part. It could be $5, could be $5 a month, could be $500. Heck, we even had a $5,000 pledge on Nuri's program, Blues Crunch, last Sunday. So someone did a big part. But right now, we're still short of where we need to be. We're continuing to talk to you about the urgency of paying the bills to keep the transmitter on. It's the real deal. It's just us. There's nothing to fall back on. Long gone are the days when we got Corporation for Public Broadcasting money, and even if we did, it would account for less than a month's worth of operation. It's still not the total solution. It just helps a little bit. Until we can right the ship and get all things to where that grant money starts flowing again, and more underwriting starts coming in, and more listeners start coming on board, it's up to us right now, this group listening, this group supporting and hearing. It's up to us. Please do your part. You call 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Hit option 1, or go to kpft.org and click donate, or use your phone and text the word give to 713-526-5738. When you go to our website and you hit that donate button or hover over it with the mouse, you'll see other options like PayPal, or maybe you have a car or RV that can be donated. We receive funds that way too. Lots of ways to give, but there is only and only one KPFT. Support it, please. Debbie, Scott, thank you. And Betty a little bit earlier, thank you for being a sustainer. It's your turn now. We've got about 5 minutes left. We'll be cutting to Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman, and we're still a little short. But Egberto, I see yet another thank you here. Why don't you go ahead and take that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so kindly. Can I say the name? Yes, Holly Wash. Thank you so kindly. She says, thanks for all of years of service and services. Thank you so kind. That is definitely appreciated. Come on, folks. Let's close this out on a bang. This is the final Friday of the fundraiser here. The final Friday of the fundraiser. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. Hit that donate button. Scroll down to Politics and Right and select whatever gift you want, whatever you want to give. That is how we are going to do it. We are almost there, my brothers and sisters. We're actually, we're not almost there. We need a lot more calls to come in. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Look, I'm going to finish I tell you what, go to politicsandright.com/newsletter for the end of the dialysis story. I am absolutely sure you're going to like it. But not, I shouldn't say like it. You're going to get what we're talking about. And we can continue the discussion on chat. We can continue this discussion because it is a very, very, very important subject that we need to cover. But to kind of close that out, we need to get the dialysis system out of the private sector. We need to get it out of I shouldn't say the private sector, get it out of the corporate sector, because what they're doing is they're getting our people killed. There are 1,000 people who have been denied services that have died, according to this article. 713-526-5738. We have another contribution. I think this one is for Arab Voices. It's a new contribution. It is for thank you so kindly. Can I use the name? Yes, Aziz Ibrahim. Aziz Ibrahim, thank you so kindly for your contribution to KPFT. We cannot do it without you, folks. We need a lot more calls coming in. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to the website and click the donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and then support the program. We are at 7:18 right now, which means I pass it to the geniuses in the studio for a final closing before coming back to me.
Oh, nothing from me, Egberto. And I think Sandy wants to say a few more words here.
Sandy?
Thank you, Howard. I just want to comment that Scott and Debbie, they got one of those 32-ounce tumblers, and so did Holly. So thank you. Enjoy that mug, carry it around, tell everybody where you got it. And for those of you that are not giving, you've decided, nope, can't do it. I got too many bills of my own. I respect that. Nope, can't do it. I gave last drive. I respect that. But for those of you not giving, please tell 2 other people about KPFT and tell them we're in Fund Drive. Tell them what we do. Tell them to tune in from time to time. We can use one more pledge to make the goal on this program. We're about $120 short, so one more person doing $10 a month, taking that mug. If you can do it on a sustaining basis, then it'll be matched with $58. Your support's critical. This is community radio without commercials. It comes from the public, and we're asking of you right now, those of you listening, on this final, I love that word with regard to fund drive, final Friday, we're asking you to make that call and keep the momentum from the four pledges, four that we've gotten so far, going all through the day. And by the end of the day, who knows, maybe we'll have 6 digits worth of funding accomplished and on to the weekend, and we go from there. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Thanks everybody that's stepped up. Thank you, Egberto. Thank you, Jack and Howard, for being there faithfully every morning. And thanks to everybody else behind the scenes at KPFT that make it possible to keep this station on the air. It is not easy. Don't try it at home. 713-526-5738. We're going to get to Democracy Now! Right after Egberto wraps up. Egberto, wrap it up.
All right, folks, got to wrap it here. Here's the deal, folks. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We can't beat it. Remember, select Politics and Right as the program you're supporting. Go to kpft.org, scroll down, hit the donate button, scroll down to Politics and Right, and give us whatever you can. Folks, it makes a difference. Finish the program at politicsandright.com/newsletter. We are going to close this baby out. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
And we now join Democracy Now! In progress on KPFT Houston.